Okay, well, so welcome, Laura Gertenbach from Innocent Meat, a cultivated meat company based in Rostock. And you say, you told me just before I pressed record that Innocent Meat was a promise to the customers. Can you explain that a little bit more, please?
Yes, of course. We are focused on cultured meat production, and our target is to erase the animal out of the equation, to make it short, so using except for the cells, of course it's an animal cell, but all ingredients that not deriving from animals. So
okay,
that's why innocent meat.
And when you say all the ingredients, you're talking about the growth media, the scaffolding, and any other meat products that would usually be used in the production. Is that?
I won't say usually. For R&D purpose, there are used animal-derived products. But when it comes to upscaling, from our perspective and from our understanding, cultured meat is about erasing animal-derived products out of the production. So yes, media should be totally plant-derived, or minimum not having any animal components inside.
Okay.
And the scaffolds also. Okay. Very important.
I mean, I recognize that you can't talk too much about what your growth media contains. There would be kind of IP restrictions on that, or even the scaffolding. Is that right?
Yeah. I can't share the exact formulations, but of course I can talk about it. A cell needs basically glucose, special proteins, signal proteins, like the growth factors, because those signal proteins tell the cell what to do, how much they should proliferate, divide, and everything that's maintaining the household, I call it. Also, we have salts, organic and inorganic salts, and minerals. So that's the basic ingredients of cell media.
Okay.
And it's very challenging to find the perfect recipe for the cell line. So they grow very fast, and then, of course, differentiate into muscle and fat.
Yes, it's sort of it's the holy grail, really, isn't it? To find the perfect growth media that is not animal derived.
Yes, I think it's a constant work in front of every company. Improvement, it's like a little bit Japanese way of working. You constantly improve the cell media, and I think it's never really done, because then a new version comes out. But to have like a really good setup to go starting, that's very important.
Okay, so are you ready now to produce? So, I mean, have you created your media and your scaffolding, and you are now producing? Are you at that level, that stage?
Yeah, maybe just to picture the concept of innocent meat quickly, to understand why we do it. Innocent meat doesn't aim to place own products in the supermarket. We aim to enable the meat industry to produce cultured meat directly in their own facilities. So we provide a production system and all components that are necessary. And we provide the bio ingredients. We already sell the cells, scaffolds, and cell media. The hardware, we don't develop hardware on ourselves, I have to say that. And the hardware is pretty dumb unless you give it a brain. And that's what we do. That's like also intellectual property of us. And before handing the whole system to the customer, we said, well, our focus is the bio ingredients development. So let's monitorize this first, because this will be first ready. And that's why we released in the first step the growth factors. And now in the second step, we launched our expansion media for primary cells, for porcine it works, and also for bovine. And of course, this first step is not I mean, it's filled up in 500 milliliter bottles. Of course, you cannot make a bulk production with that. It's much more to acquire customers, because I can say, oh, my expansion meter is really great, but unless somebody else is not saying that, then it's not worth it. So that's the first step, and then we can grow with the customer, and then we, according to the needs, could go in bulk production.
I see. So what kind of customer would come to you? What stage of their development would they be at usually?
For expansion meat at the moment, it's really the cultured meat industry or research institutes. So that are our main customers at the moment.
Okay.
Once in a while, we have like inquiries from meat processors that are interested to use the whole technology, but want to have at least an own expansion meter. So we are in discussion.
So they will come to you, and you can provide them with everything they need to cultivate the cells.
Yes, really our primary focus for the whole plug-and produce system, that's how we call it, is the meat industry, like the meat processors. We don't do steaks. What our focus is a minced meat, because if I look at the numbers, minced meat is the ultimate margins for meat processors, because they do sausage and convenience food. And I really remember like a conversation with the CEO of a big meat processor. He said that minced meat is so easy to cook for everybody. Every idiot can cook it, basically. And that's why we don't care for steaks. And this time, people don't have time. And it's also interesting when I go to conventions, I ask, who knows how to make steaks? Out of 100 people, there's one hand, so at least here in Europe.
You mean who knows how to make steaks? Or
steaks, no, most people don't know how to do it. They eat it in the restaurant, but at home, that's where it matters.
How to cook
they cook minced meat because sausage, because it's easy. Everybody can do it.
Okay, but of course, for a cultivated meat company, it's much easier to make minced meat than it is to make steak.
Yes, exactly. We don't want to die the butterfly death, like making everything pretty. Get out with the first product, test it, make it better, and then grow, basically.
I was speaking to a company a couple of weeks ago. They are going to be specializing in Italian style sausages and salami and that sort of thing, which seems like a great idea for cultivated meat, because it's all in a skin and it's flavored and it's smoked, and it's no one can ever know that it's cultivated meat. So shall we talk about your products a little bit then?
Yes.
Yes. Which are some of your prize products?
Well, for us right now, it's like we reach a big milestones with our expansion media, because for expansion media, we needed the growth factors we have been developing. For instance, every work is in there. So we launched it, and we got some customers to test it, and the next step is then to work with the customer and to see what quantities they need, and then set it up with our production line.
Okay, and so the production line is one you provide to them, so you build that for them, or they use yours?
Well, when it comes to expansion media, then of course we will produce it, unless they can give us an address where we can produce it in a much, much, much cheaper way, and we're very open for that. But this is the plan, because our cash cow are the ingredients that what we have to have ready. However, for the whole system, without bio ingredients, no cultured meat.
Okay, so you have a large facilities there, do you?
Now we use other manufacturers, basically, because we aim to have a lean capex.
Okay, and
we are really good in formulation, and I think there are others good in really manufacturing it. So we source the ingredients, deliver to our partner. So that's our strategy.
So you are helping with the sort of scaling up, I suppose. You are
Yes.
a hardware provider and a service provider, I suppose.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So the first step is really bringing the ingredients to the cultured meat industry, and then the second step is to deliver the whole production system to the meat industry. But for that, I will need the ingredients already scaled up. So that's why we have like two-step way.
Okay. So how did you start in this venture then, Laura?
Yeah, it's a very big adventure. Because my background is not from biology or biochemistry. I have a background in the meat business, in the traditional meat business itself. My parents are farmers, and within this agriculture business, I founded a meat business. And my problem was always that when I wanted to produce more meat, there weren't enough animals in the market or people who doing the products. Yeah, and the second is I realized that selling steaks wasn't like my major market. It was really minced meat. And then I heard the first time, I think it was 2017, from cultured meat, and I thought, oh, that would really solve my problem in my business. And that's what was driving me, you know. And the other side, yes, the environmental aspect, because I see my parents growing crops for feedstock purpose. 70% of our acres is used for that. And I had many times the conversation with my dad, and he always said, this is senseless. So it makes like two things together, you know.
So your
and then
dad...
my co-founder, he was like, actually going to Zurich, he literally had his suitcases packed. And he said that, oh, well, it's interesting, I can be your consultant, you know. And then he got really into the topic, and then he said, you know what, can I be your co-founder? And then he just like skipped Zurich University, was really prestigious and known, and his professor was kind of upset, but he said he never regretted it. It was the best he could do.
So your father was he was a farmer, and then he decided he was going to go to university and study in Zurich. But
no, my co-founder is actually a biochemist. His major is in changing plants.
Oh, sorry, I got confused there. I thought you were talking about your father being your...
No. It's just that from this parents' business, you know, I founded this meat business, traditional meat business, and I just wanted to make the reference that besides all the pragmatic motives I had, also the environmental experience and aspects were like crucial, because I see how the business is going from my dad's side. You know, he's growing crops for feedstocks. So he always said, "Oh, this doesn't make sense." He wished that there were like a technology who could avoid it, and then he could grow more food for humans.
Well, that's very interesting. So he was a farmer that grew the feed for the meat industry, but
yes,
he didn't have cattle himself, or he did.
No, we sold everything. We had milk cattle. But when the Eastern European countries entered the European Union, he's like a very forward-thinking guy, you know, looking at stock market. He felt that it's time to sell it because the price dropped.
So he's a farmer that approves of the cultivated meat industry.
Yes, he said it's a new technology, it's an alternative, and he always says farmers are entrepreneurs, and they for sure will find their own way, also with cultured meat.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting, because I've been trying to find farmers who are on the side of cultivated meat. I've spoken to one farmer who was clearly against it. She said that she would never eat it at all, and she raised cattle in the UK.
I meet farmers many times, and every time I can understand it. It's about the fear of losing the existence. Yeah, there are some farmers that only does cattling, but here in Germany, the average has also acres, so they could grow crops. And I always argument, hey, you still can take part in cultured meat. I mean, the cell media is a really important part, and you can deliver the primary resources for that. Of course, you cannot produce a cultured media by yourself because you don't have the biotechnology knowledge, you know. And also, I don't think that animals will be abolished, you know. The number will be reduced, but I think there will be still a niche for the original heritage steak. And also in some landscape, it doesn't make sense to abolish animal because this landscape has been formed through animals like cows. So, and then it has gotten this unique ecosystem. So I think it will remain, just the numbers will be reduced, and particularly the industrial animal raising companies with really large amounts of animals, they will be strongly affected. Like medium-sized small farmers find a way in direct marketing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've always seen it that way. I've always seen cultivated meat as a replacement for industrial farming, not necessarily a replacement for traditional
yes.
farming, which is a much easier sell to people, really, because people don't want their landscape changing. People don't want to see huge bioreactors instead of old-fashioned farms, but instead of industrial farms, then that clearly makes
yes. I totally agree. Because at the end, the humans, they love to have this image. The sun is rising, the chickens, and makes them calm, makes them feel slow down. So I think this concept will sell, and farmers that serving this concept will be having their place in the market.
Right. So how long have you been working on your expansion medium?
Yeah, from day one, let's say. We knew in 2017 that the bioingredients are crucial to meet price parity. So that's why we totally focus on it. Officially, we founded the company in 2020. And we got the first investment in 2021. And that's when we really actively started in the lab.
Okay, so you brought some clever scientists in to help.
Yes, we are now a team of 10 people. And next year in January, one more person is joining us, but then it's also good, I don't want to have like an overstuff, and I really think that happens many times in startups. You have money, let's say, and let's stuff it, but at the end you don't really need it. So we were really well, right, also because of the market conditions right now. So we decided to staff very carefully.
Okay, and talking about market conditions, have you found it easy or difficult to get funding?
I would say it's never easy, but being in Europe is tougher, I would say. And I think because the mindset is just different, they're more risk averse. And particularly this year was a tough year. Like us, we had to really look what we spent the money on, but which is good. It's a good learning, to make a turnaround like this and say, hey, we can have the big cake, but make slices out of it. So it's better than nothing.
I think that's true. I think kind of going through periods of crisis is a really good way to grow stronger, I suppose, at your core,
Yes.
isn't it? So you know.
Yeah, and also to test your abilities to reorganize quickly, you know, and also to test, to pick out the priorities. I mean, I always say it's a big cake, you know, so pick out the most important piece and look, the money you have, can you reach that? So, and then just if you're done, take the next pieces out.
Yeah. I suppose it makes it a little bit more complicated in regard to regulation. If you're supplying the sort of separate ingredients and technology and hardware, who seeks for regulatory approval? It would be your customers that would do that, wouldn't it?
No, it will be us, totally us. It's all in our hand because the customer doesn't know our bioprocess, and of course, this intellectual property, I won't give it to our customer. So we are totally responsible for regulations.
Okay.
And there, I mean, also, we first aim to regulate all the cell media or the bio ingredients, which makes sense. And depending on the funds, how much it is, we could parallel or go step by step on the whole regulation for the whole process.
Okay. So that process, so a customer will come to you with their ingredients, with whatever they want to make, and then you will help them make that, and then you will go to the regulator for approval for that end product. Is that?
Yeah, for not the ingredients. For example, we have a meat processor that aims to produce pork mincemeat because she wants to do sausages. Then we provide everything, a holistic system, starting with bio ingredients, the hardware which we buy from our partners, and then automate the whole production. Basically, we sit here in Germany and manage the production because a meat processor is really good at making delicious products, but when it comes to biotechnology, the knowledge is limited.
Okay. And have you started any regulatory approval processes yet? Have you made any applications?
Not yet. We foreseen it for next year. Yeah, we still have to do some work. And our target is to go first for media.
Okay. And in which country?
Yeah, definitely US and Asia, because Europe, I don't see it that they move very quick with the novel foods regulation. There are still a lot of open issues that the EFSA has to clarify. And the challenge is also, it's not only the EFSA, I mean, all the member states in the EU have to say, oh yes, in SME, that's good, you know, you can get the approval, and this will take a long time, I think.
Yeah. So have you discussed it with the in the UK, we call it the Food Standards Agency. Do you have, you know, the equivalents in Germany? Have you had this conversation with them at all?
Yeah, I had it with Berlin. The thing is, they're totally linked to the European Union. Since the UK is not part anymore, they can have their own laws. Yeah.
Yeah. In the UK, they still have the novel. They have the EU framework, but they are kind of discussing ways of kind of circumventing that, I suppose, kind of getting around that because they have pulled out. But
okay, but still, that you don't have this long tail, and you know, all the member states that want to cook the soup, I call it. Yeah, we have actually, you know, it's like a really important work we can't do by ourselves. So of course we have like experts, consultants helping us to do that.
So if one country in the EU vetoes it, then it can't be changed, and so they can't reintroduce a new framework because kind of Italy is going to be, you know, putting their foot down at every stage anyway, right? Because they're against the whole thing.
Yeah, so it depends how, yeah, that's true. That will be challenging. And I think that maybe European Union must clarify first what's important. I mean, we have the farm to fork deal. This is the beginning, you know, and then maybe they need to offer Italy something else they're interested in, because climate food is something not only affecting I mean, it's affecting everybody. It's a nation, so it's a very important topic.
Yeah, and there's a lot of money going into it as well through the Horizon project.
Yeah, or the Ike accelerator, because farm to fork is also an important part of it.
Right, and I heard that maybe Jeff Bezos is putting $1 billion into the European investments. I'm not sure.
That's
Not sure if that's public yet, or if that's just, you know, something one
rumors.
of my guests mentioned to me. We'll have to see.
I mean, that would be very interesting. You know, I think at the end they will negotiate some deal with those member states, you know, offering something. But this takes time, so it's not done overnight. For sure, they want something, you know.
Right. So, okay, so you're going to apply for approval perhaps next year. So you think that you'll be commercially producing what, a year later, perhaps, or, you know, kind of 2025?
That's the most difficult question, because it depends it's all about money, you know. The funds that are available to build like large scale, and the market environment. I'm optimistic that we can start. Yes.
Okay.
So, but of course, there are a lot of stuff that can come in between.
So you're currently seeking investment or partnerships?
Yes, startups always need money. So especially when it comes to scaling, we have to be honest. It's a new technology. Yeah, it's a totally new field. So you need sufficient funds to scale, to have like a significant output, and that costs money because it's related to capex.
So okay, so finally, I mean, do you have any interesting predictions for the industry? What do you think is going to be what's going to be surprising, or what's going to happen next?
I really think that the steps that have been made in the USA to commercialize culture meat is very important, also for Europe. And I think it creates totally new opportunities, you know. Everybody before was like dreaming, but now it comes to reality. And this also in terms of funding, I think it will make like not a renaissance, but it's like approval that funds go further into cultured meat, and because the first profits have been made. And I really think that and hope it flushes also to Europe.
Okay, yeah, well, that makes sense. So up until well, I think it was June, wasn't it, where the approvals were made? It was all a bit of a, like you say, a bit of a dream, but now it's a reality. And I know
feasible, that, you know, that's the thing.
Yeah, and I know that one of those companies, one of the ones that have approval, they believe that cultivated meat will be on the supermarket shelves within 3 years.
Yeah, I think the latest in 27. That's very latest. I think that will be the case in the US, and you know, that you can find in most of the supermarkets cultured meat products.
I mean, that's quite a big change from when I first got into this area, and people were sort of saying that it's going to be kind of 10 years before it's even being served in restaurants. So now it's kind of 3 years and it'll be in the supermarket. So it's
you know what, I find this development very interesting, and I've seen comparison to software development. So it's like a exponential curve, but like this, you know, in terms of production costs, and the prices after, I would say 27, once the infrastructure is set up, will drop.
Yeah.
And growth exponential. So
Yes. I mean, I guess it would help companies if they shared their IP, wouldn't it?
Not really, I would say, because there are two parts in culture. I mean, first is making the product, and then it's selling.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're a bestseller, then you can have a great product, but you never reach the customer. So
I mean, there has to be an element of race, otherwise it's just not going to happen quickly. So
I think you need to love sales. That's the thing, and particularly if you're like in the consumer segment, that's where actually the work starts. I can tell you from my own experience in meat business. You can have a great product, but if you're not able to sell it to the supermarkets, that will be a big problem.
Yeah.
So, and even the IPs from the other guys, that's why, I mean, the major work will come. I mean, now it's big work, but selling these products to end consumers, that's a really big deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a mystery, isn't it, at the moment, the growth media. I've heard ingredients like like algae and mung bean and worms and things like that. I mean, is there a special ingredient that kind of people are playing with for the for the
for the understanding? The thing is, the growth media is made of two major concepts. First is like the basal media, which contains like known ingredients, for example, glucose, minerals, and salts, and then the other concept are the signal proteins, the growth factors. So there are several growth factors a cell needs in order to grow and to be alive. So, and those growth factors can be produced in various systems. It can be, but always with genetical or with GMO techniques, because those signal proteins are animal proteins and they won't grow like by nature in a plant.
Okay.
So you have to tell the algae or whatever plant, please produce those signal proteins. And I only can do it if I reprogram the plant in some way. The second system are organisms like fungi or bacteria. Also, a bacteria wouldn't grow signal proteins from animals just like that. So I have to tell them. So I need to program them. So that's the thing. Sometimes you hear, it derives from algae or mushrooms. However, you need GMO techniques to produce growth factors.
Okay. I think it's probably about time I went and sort of studied a little bit of this, because I've spoken to so many people now, and obviously a lot of scientists as well as entrepreneurs and experts in the field. So I'm starting to understand the science, but I was never particularly good at science. But it's
no, me neither. I'm not a scientist, though. I always try to explain it. And where the ingredients derive from the basal media, like glucose, it's sugar. It can be from crops, can be also from algae somehow. So there are different sources, or could be like residue when you make beer, because then sugar remains. So there are various sources you could take, basically.
So you think that kind of genetic modification is inevitable in the production?
In growth media, yes, basically, but it's the same. The cells don't get changed by that; they consume media, and also when you produce those growth factors, to make it easy, you cut the genetical material from the protein. So there's no change in the protein itself, because there's no genetically modified material inside the protein. It's basically a car, you know, producing the protein, and then the protein gets off the car.
Okay. That's
and the cells consume it, and then it's the same like if the cow eats soy from genetically engineered plants, the meat still is meat and not genetically changed meat.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you for the lesson. I mean, I'll know who to come to now if I have any more questions.
Yeah, of course. I'm happy. So.
And okay, before we finish, is there something? Is there, you know, you were talking about sort of sales earlier. Is there something you want to sort of say about your products or about your company before we end the podcast?
Yeah, any company, culture meat company or research institute interesting in cell media, ready to use expansion media, I'm really glad to help you out. Reach out to me, and we make the things work.
Okay. All right. Okay, Laura, it's been very lovely talking to you, and yes, stay in touch. I want to hear about progress, and if there's something you want to discuss, particularly about some change in business, then kind of contact me, and we can talk more. Yeah. Also, if you have a question about some topic, just reach out, and I'm happy to help you out. Okay. All right. Great. Wonderful talking to you. Bye bye. Thank you so much, Alex, for hosting me.